Alright there everyone and welcome to the podcast. So today I am going to be talking about what the best martial arts are to practice for MMA. Now obviously mixed martial arts is a very 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 diverse sport. So, that there's loads of MMA math never adds up, does it, So yeah, there's loads and loads of different combinations of martial arts that you can have. Obviously, I'll just say one off the top of my head. Thai boxing and no-gi jiu-jitsu. I think that's quite useful because the thing is, you can have good stand-up, a good variety of stand-up. Keeping people away with the teeps and having a decent clinch game with the Thai boxing, and also with the Thai plum clinch, and also being good off of your back as well against the wrestler if they try and take you down. You know, um, so yeah, another combination will probably be boxing and wrestling, because the thing is with wrestling, it's quite hard on your hips, and you can have some bad back injuries, sometimes. But it's mostly quite hard on your hips and your knees, and I feel like if you try and do loads of wrestling and loads of Thai boxing, it'll be a lot harder. I'm not saying don't practice any kicks, knees, and elbows and whatever. I'm just saying, like, it's hard to do those kicking movements, especially high kicks, and to do loads and loads and loads of Thai boxing with loads and loads and loads of wrestling. So my advice would probably be boxing and wrestling would be another combination. Mainly because with boxing, you're not throwing your legs around and kicking really high and whatever. You can just, hit people and whatever. And the thing is, if someone kicks you, you can catch it, trip them and take them down or whatever, or just catch it and try and go for a takedown. Or if someone who's done the Thai boxing and the nogi, you can just rush them, I guess, and just shoot for a takedown. Obviously, you'd have to learn a lot of defensive jiu-jitsu if you took them down. But if your boxing's ridiculously good and you keep getting in the pocket and keep landing really, really well, and then they try and take you down, you can defend the takedown. But at the same time, with their diverse striking, with the kicks, knees, and the elbows and everything else, and the clinching, obviously wrestlers usually have a good clinch anyway, because there's just a lot more close stuff going on in the stand-up. With grappling, I guess you just sort of go to your, there's a lot of pull guard people, and there's a lot of, guard pulling people, and there's a lot of people who like to advance, and obviously their takedowns can be alright, but their single leg and their double legs aren't going to be, or their suplexes aren't going to be anywhere near as good as a wrestler, you know. So yeah, usually with wrestling styles, they usually work better against people who have ridiculously good stand up, because if you shoot for a takedown, if the person who's got ridiculous stand up, if they haven't got good jiu-jitsu and they're just a specialist in one area, then the wrestler can just pound on them for ages. And I suppose statistically looking at it, wrestling, a lot of the current champions, Henry Cejudo, wrestler, Max Holloway, Brazilian, got a bit of a Brazilian jiu-jitsu background when it comes to grappling. Khabib, wrestler. Usman, wrestler. um, Israel Adesanya, more jiu-jitsu than wrestling. Obviously, he's mostly a striker. I know Holloway's mostly a striker. I know a lot of them are striker, but I just mean their grappling backgrounds. 205, John Jones wrestling, and Stipe Miocic wrestling. And Amanda Nunes, she's more like no gi, just really good grappling. I wouldn't say she's more of a wrestler. I know she can take people down, but like that there haven't been mad takedown exchanges where the other person's got insane takedown defense. Um, Obviously, um, Wei Li Zhang, she's more I don't know really. She does take people down, but she's got really good jiu-jitsu as well. So I don't know, probably more jiu-jitsu, I guess. I don't really know loads and loads about her. And Valentina Shevchenko, I'd say maybe more jiu-jitsu. I don't know. It's hard. I don't really know. Because the thing is, because them three fighters are really, really stand-up heavy. A lot of their best wins have been from stand-up fighting. And obviously, I know other fighters have had stand-up fighting, a lot of stand-up fighting wins who I've mentioned then who are champions, but they've also had a lot of wrestling or grappling wins as well. Like they've been able to take people down and TKO them, or they've been able to submit them, So, yeah. There are other styles. Obviously, there are people who, people who add karate in there as well. And karate's alright, I guess. The in and out movement, the point fighting style, I suppose. But you don't see. I mean, none of the champions, apart from GSP, have much of a karate background, and there's obviously loads and loads of different types of karate. I suppose karate is sort of good light training, like you're not really pushing yourself ridiculously like wrestling or MMA, hard MMA sparring or hard Thai boxing sparring. You're sort of just like I don't know. It's just sort of like training, isn't it? Really, and very like it's much more of a meditating martial art and much more relaxing and therapeutic, like just the movements and the katas. So it swings and roundabouts, really. Take it or leave it, I suppose. Obviously, you got people like Lyoto Machida, Stephen Thompson who've incorporated, and GSP who've incorporated karate. But you haven't got anyone using them karate blocks, really. I know Tony Ferguson's done some in some of his exchanges. Like I think it was in the Anthony Pettis fight. He was doing a bit of Wing Chun blocking stuff, but that stuff doesn't really work. To be honest, you don't see loads and loads and loads and loads of fighters doing like karate and Wing Chun, and they're not going to have a whole camp of doing katas and doing karate punches and doing karate blocks. So I suppose that's a sort of take it or leave it martial art. If you integrate little bits from karate, I suppose you'll be alright. And yeah, but if you enjoy doing it and it's therapeutic for you, obviously, you can't really be shaming people for doing a martial art that they enjoy. So yeah, another one would be judo. Judo is efficient in some ways, like a lot of grapplers and wrestlers do try and trip people up usually to get them down. It is a good way to get people down, really, but you don't really see loads and loads of throws like you see Islam Makhachev doing throws, I guess. Gilbert Burns, I think he sort of did a bit of judo to Gunnar Nelson. One judo throw, I think, and Ronda Rousey doing quite a bit of judo. And judo, it is good to learn. It's good to learn the defences. Obviously, you can wreck a lot of low-level people or mid-tier people with judo, but the top level, they're going to be able to defend it, or you probably won't be able to get them in a position to throw them. So, but as I say, if you enjoy it, then go for it. There's other random martial arts like Aikido, and I mentioned Wing Chun. I don't really know what goes on with Aikido. There's Jeet Kune Do, which there's a lot of weapons fighting in that, but there's also a lot of like grappling and MMA drills in that. So I suppose that the grappling MMA stuff is alright, but the stick fighting, I don't really think that's really that efficient for your MMA training. I don't really think that'll do you that good, really. And the thing is, with weapons, I suppose it's a bit of decent fun if you carry some nunchucks around with you. I suppose you can defend yourself. The police aren't going to take nunchucks off you if you're walking around with nunchucks, are they? Really? So I suppose if someone tries to mug you, you can whack them a load of people with nunchucks. I mean, usually people who rob people are cowards, and if you've got some nunchucks on you, none of them are going to want to come near you. I mean, I suppose if there's like loads and loads and loads of them, which, let's be honest, why on earth, who in the right mind would mug one person, like when there's loads of you? I understand if it's one of yous, I understand if it's two of yous, but like 10 or 20 people, come on, it must just be a personal troll if there's that many people trying to mug one person. And the main reason I'd be so confused if like 10 people tried to mug one person is because, first off, there's more chance of you getting caught. Second off, how are you going to split the money? Like, how much is this one person going to be carrying on them? Okay, maybe if you're lucky, they've got a decent phone that's worth a few £100. They've probably got 20 quid in their pockets, and as soon as you steal their credit cards, they're just going to cancel them when they get the chance. So I suppose you can run to a shop in the middle of the night and just spend a load of random crap on buying a load of random crap, I guess. But and the thing is, you're going to have to split that between 10 people. So, say they've got, I don't know, like a phone that's worth 300 quid, you split 300 quid between 10 people, that's bloody 30 quid. And if you split it between 20 people, I don't know why there'd be 20 people robbing someone. You get like, what, 15 bloody quid? 50. You've just mugged someone. You've just risked being put in prison just for 15 quid. Well done. I mean, I don't agree with people doing it morally anyway. I think it's a bad moral thing, but I understand that some people are in bad situations. But if you are in that bad situation, get help and don't do it. And also, why on earth would you do it? Why on earth would you do it with loads and loads of people? Because you're not really making any profit, are you? But anyway, these people are usually cowards. So if there's one or two of them, if one of them gets whacked with a nunchuck, the other 2, 3, 4, 5 people are not going to want to go anywhere near them. So I suppose weapons fighting, especially nunchucks, is useful in general. But for MMA, you can argue with the sticks you are getting exercises, you are moving your arms around. Same with nunchucks, but it's not really efficient for MMA. But again, you know, there are other weapons. There's those batons, which are alright. But I feel like nunchucks, you can, you know, carry them around more efficiently. Like, you can sort of, I don't know, get a strap on your trousers and attach them, I guess. With the batons, it's harder, you know. And obviously, you don't want a massive bow staff. Carry a massive bow staff around crazy. And it's quite hard to learn. To be fair, nunchucks, you start off with lighter ones. You know, that's probably the wisest decision. Then go to the heavier ones. Still quite dangerous though, and in reality, you know, with muggers and all that, I suppose you could try and fight them off with nunchucks, but it's probably best to just hand all your stuff over, really. You know, just hand it over. So yeah, weapons fighting, Jeet Kune Do, alright, I suppose, depends what you're doing. A lot of this, in reality, really, with, you know, what specific martial arts you need to train for MMA, it's sort of, it depends what place you go to. Obviously, there's some gyms which are like, I don't know, 120 quid a month, and even if they are good, unless they're producing the top talent, it's a bit ridiculous, really. An amazing gym in the West Midlands, you know, Renegade, that's 55 quid a month. And I feel like if a top gym with top talent like Leon Edwards, Tom Breeze, Jai Herbert, you know, Fabian Edwards, Aidan Lee, Nathanius Frederick, Yannick Bahati, Akon Wanlish, you know, all these people, if a gym like that with all that sort of talent can, you know, afford to charge people, like, I don't mean afford, but I mean, like, if they're generous enough, that is good value for all the stuff that they have there, you know. If they can afford 55 quid, why should a gym with a load of, well, with facilities and fighters or people training there or trainers nowhere near as good be charging like hundreds of quid? It's daftness, really. So a lot of this does come down to how good the gym is, I suppose. So yeah, you do, you know, you do have to try and find the right gym to go to, really, with these things. In America and a few other countries, they do wrestling in high school, don't they? So, to be honest, if you live in America and you can't afford to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, well, no gi. I will talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the gi in a bit. But if you can't afford to do no gi or any other martial arts, wrestling is a good place to start off with until you're old enough to get a part-time job. Obviously, if you love wrestling loads and loads, you should do it. It is good for MMA, but you can get submitted by the really good grappling person. It's like Ben Askren versus Damian Maia, perfect example. I'm not saying Damian Maia didn't do any wrestling. He did do a bit of wrestling. And like with MMA, you can't just mess around in people's guards and be in a position to be hit. You have to keep them down and stop them from being able to hit you while you're in their guard. And you have to be trying to attack them from bottom as well. You have to be trying to go for submission attempt sweeps and all that jazz, you know. So yeah, you can't really just be messing around in people's guards, because it has happened in fights before. Someone's just been like really relaxed in a good strike, like they've ended up in an exchange and they've sort of like pulled guard. You don't see it much in MMA, but it was in this one fight. I'm not going to say who, because I don't really want to be honest, because the fighter's quite a cool person. But basically, he was in their guard and he was just getting hit loads and loads, and then that stopped the fight just with a load of straight punches from this really, really high level striker. and he's got really good jiu-jitsu, but you can't do traditional no-gi in an MMA fight where you're in guard, because they can just hit you. You have to, make adaptations to your game with MMA grappling, and Damien Maia has done that perfectly. But the same with wrestling. You're not in a really low stance in wrestling, and you're not just taking them down and holding them down for 3 seconds. You can get them against the fence, trip them, or you can, double leg, single leg, take them down. You can throw them or whatever, you know what I mean? But you still have to be careful. You have to be able to strike as well. If they know that someone's going to go for a takedown, I mean, look at Robbie Lawler versus Ben Askren. Everyone knows, well, Robbie Lawler knew straight away he's just going to go for a takedown. He's got no striking, sprawl straight away. He was defending the takedowns quite well. Ben Askren was eating loads of punishment, and then the fight was nearly finished. Ben Askren was just lucky to get that bulldog choke, really. So, yeah, you do need to have other skills. You can't just rely on one skill, So, yeah, Damien Maia managed to submit Ben Askren. Obviously, in a few of Kevin Lee's fights, he's been submitted, and he's quite a good wrestler. I know he's not nowhere near... Well, he's probably not too far off Askren, He's not as good as Askren or Khabib or Usman, but he's quite a good wrestler. And he got submitted by Tony Ferguson in a triangle. And the thing is, with Kevin Lee, his defensive jiu-jitsu is amazing. His defensive no-gi jiu-jitsu is amazing, but, he just ends up getting a bit too carried away and just gets caught in these submissions. It's just absolute madness, really. The problem is, if you're against someone who's got good no-gi and good striking, you can take them down, but then you'll have more problems with them on the ground as well. So you've took them down thinking, I can just pound on them and hit them now. But then they've got a really good game from the bottom. They've got a really good submission game from the bottom, so it just becomes a load of hassle. And then you're like, oh, bloody hell, I've got to get out of this. Oh, God. So, yeah. And also he got caught in a guillotine against Charles Oliveira. Because it is a hard one to nail down which one's better for MMA, no-gi, jiu-jitsu or wrestling. I mean, there's more wrestlers who have been successful. You can control where the fight goes. And, if Ben Askren had really good striking against Maia would have never taken him down. But at the same time, a part of me thinks with wrestling, your skills deteriorate because it's so strength-based. I know there's a lot of technique, but with grappling, there are some people who are a lot smaller than their opponent. Like Lachlan Giles, he submits loads of bigger people, Craig Jones against Rumble Johnson. Rumble Johnson's got pretty decent wrestling, And Craig Jones just submitted him easily. I know Craig Jones is quite a big lad. I think Craig Jones was 220 and Rumble Johnson was 280 or 270. I can't remember. But Craig Jones just got him in a leg lock easily. And it's just like, man, size does not matter when it comes to that. But wrestling, it does, because you're holding them down for 3 seconds or you're trying to push them off. And, you know what I mean? I know strength and size does matter in grappling. That's why there's weight divisions. It matters with anything. But I feel like it matters more with wrestling. And wrestling does deteriorate over time, Your double leg and your single legs and your throws aren't going to be as... Or your, sprawls and defending the takedowns aren't going to be as good as before. But with grappling, you can sort of just go on your back, mess around for ages, and then catch them in an armbar, a triangle, an X choke, a loop choke, maybe, get them round for a cheeky bow and arrow choke. I don't know. I know bow and arrow and X chokes are more no-gi, but, I mean them with the gi on, but you know what I mean. So, yeah. To be honest, well, it's shown that there's more wrestlers who are champions. So, obviously, you'd probably... I don't know, but again, if the wrestlers went into someone's guard who was ridiculously good at jiu-jitsu, they'd get tapped out. But they can control the fights. Oof. The thing is, all I will say right now to determine it, because the thing is, a lot of these fighters, who have really good wrestling and striking, they'd be good anyway, without that wrestling, they'd probably be really good anyway if they did loads of no-gi. I feel like if you can submit people and finish fights, I know obviously after a grueling training camp things are hard, but say if, someone takes you down, boom, armbar, it's over. You clinch them, trip them, or you take them down, batter them a bit, rear naked choke, boom, over. I know it always isn't that simple, and some people are amazing at defending submissions, but you know what I mean? Like, if you can submit loads and loads of people, you can get quite far. But with wrestling, they just take them down, chill in the guard, or pass, or get into mount, and pass and get into mount and try and finish it, or they stay in the guard and just pound them. And the thing is, that takes a lot out of you if you have to do that for 3 rounds or 5 rounds, you know. I know you might be getting the better in most of the exchanges, but look at fighters like, you know, Francis Ngannou. I know he doesn't finish fights necessarily, but, you know, he knocks people out and has quick fights, you know. And if you can have these quick fights and just finish people really quick with submissions, then, you know, you're in the clear. So I'd say, and the thing is, it's a lot easier to recover from that physically than wrestling, and wrestling has a lot more injuries. I know Nogi can have a lot of injuries, but wrestling has quite a lot as well. So if I had to pick one that I recommend to people, probably, Nogi. And with Gi Jiu-Jitsu, you know, obviously there's loads of competitions in it, and, you know, you should do it for a laugh. If you're an MMA fighter and you're a professional, I mean, do it once in a while for, you know, a laugh, or if you want to, but having it as a regular part of your training, unless you're competing in a gi match, there isn't really much point. The most important thing is no gi, because you're not going to be, you know, the grips are different. But I suppose if you're rolling around with people on the ground, even in your gi, you know, you're still going to be getting a sweat on, you're still going to be working hard, you know, it's still going to improve your stamina. So do what you want, but I'd recommend no-gi. So, but yeah, let's talk a bit about striking now. So obviously, I mentioned Thai boxing, boxing, kickboxing. Taekwondo's alright, you know, but you really, it's best to have a load of different stuff in there rather than just relying on the Taekwondo kicks. Because the thing is, Bruce Lee said it once, right? I fear the man. I know Bruce Lee, he did train a lot of martial arts, and I know in reality he wasn't really, you know, he wouldn't have been able to beat anyone in the UFC unless he trained really hard for it, because his punches were ridiculously fast. But, you know, was his footwork any good? Was his head movement any good? Could he roll with punches? Could he roll with kicks? Were his shins really conditioned? You know, it's just like, was he really that great? Like, he was good. He could beat a load of regular Joes and a load of half decent, you know, fighters. But could he beat the greatest people? Well, with a lot of training, maybe. Well, a good chance, really, with loads and loads of training. But from what we know, from the amount of training that he actually did do, probably not. But he did say one really wise thing. He said, I fear the man, not the man who knows 10,000 kicks, but the man who practiced the same kick 10,000 times. And I'll tell you something, roundhouse kick in Thai boxing, or a teep kick, you know, front kick, you know, practicing them constantly is a lot more efficient and useful, and, you know, more powerful and more damaging in an MMA fight than hook kick, you know, jumping back kick, spinning back kick, jumping switch kick, spinning wheel kick, you know, side kick, you know, practicing all these different kicks. It's all right and it's good fun and all that, but, like, look at all the fighters in MMA who have got loads of head kick knockouts. Obviously, Marlon Moraes has got some good switch kick knockouts. Edson Barboza's got, I know he has done some wheel kick ones, but he's got some, I'm pretty sure he's knocked people out with roundhouse kicks. You know, Overeem, I think he might have a few back in the day. You know, like, I know there aren't loads of heavy kickers who just kick someone in the head and then it's over, but, like, kicking people, you see a lot more TKOs and KOs from head kicks than, you know, hook kicks and spinning wheel kicks. I suppose having more variety in the kicks can throw people off more, but to be honest, it would, like, the more damaging kicks are, like, the ones that you practice over and over and over and over and over again. And to be honest, look at how many fights have been won with leg kicks. Jeremy Stevens versus Gilbert Burns, Volkanovski versus Holloway. I know it wasn't a finish, neither of those fights were finishes, but the leg kicks won the fights. Look at how many times the Diaz brothers have got leg kicked loads and loads, like by Nate Diaz got leg kicked loads by Benson Henderson, RDA, and Nick Diaz, you know, he doesn't check kicks, does he? So, sorry, he didn't check kicks when he was fighting. I don't think he's coming back, is he? Probably not. But maybe, who knows? I'd rather see him not fight again, to be honest. He's taken a lot of punches. I don't really want to see Nate fight again, to be honest. I don't know if I said this in my Cowboy vs McGregor predictions video, but I did say, like, if McGregor has a long fight with Cowboy, or he struggles to beat Cowboy, but he wins, I'd just like to see him fight Diaz and leave. But if he just knocks Cowboy out easily, then I want to see him fight better people like Gaethje, and then potentially Khabib and Ferguson. But obviously he knocked Donald Cerrone out really quick. So obviously I want to see him fight, Gaethje, then Khabib or Ferguson. But if he loses to Gaethje, I'd like to see him fight Diaz and then just call it quits, really. I know it would be a bit bad for Diaz to take more damage, but personally, even though I just said I want to see McGregor fight Diaz, I don't think that's much of a good fight for Diaz anymore. I feel like Diaz needs to pack it up now. He's taking a lot of damage. If he wants to do it, I guess go for it, But I wouldn't advise it. But if he does do it, great. I guess another big payday for him, another £1,000,000 for him. So, yeah, fair enough. But I personally wouldn't do it. But if it was up to just for me to advise McGregor, that's what I'd say. Yeah, go for the if you lose the gauge, you go for the DS fight, mate. So, but if he beats Khabib or Ferguson, obviously, I don't know, probably retire there. To be honest, if he beats Khabib and Ferguson, if he knocks out the two greatest lightweights of all time. The problem is he's already lost to Khabib once, so he probably needs to do a third fight with Khabib. So even if he knocks out Khabib, he needs to do a third fight. It's just like, it's just a bit of an oof, really, It's like, he's got to beat Khabib again. Then if he knocks out Tony, then, I suppose if he beats Khabib twice, he's proved that he's the greatest lightweight ever. And if he knocks out Tony, proved it, cemented it even more. So we'll just have to see, won't we? But yeah, back to the striking. Yeah, so... Taekwondo's alright. Boxing's quite good with the footwork. You do loads and loads of different drills. It seems that there's loads of boxing gyms that are really competitive and white collar boxing. As much as boxing's quite dangerous, white collar boxing is a good way to start, drilling in them fundamentals for MMA, just practicing something all the time. I suppose the same with Thai boxing, really, but you don't see as many people competing in Thai boxing as you do with white collar boxing. It seems like loads of people just want to do white collar boxing and Thai boxing. Obviously, quite a few people do it, but it just doesn't seem like as many people do it, So, yeah. But boxing's quite good for footwork. The things with Thai boxing, I feel like that can work in MMA quite well, but boxing, if you're against a good kickboxer or boxer and you just keep getting kicked constantly, not knowing how to defend a kick and whatever. I mean, I'd imagine if someone has done loads of boxing and they've gone into MMA, they'd know some basic MMA stuff or have some solid fundamentals, I guess. But if they've gone in unprepared and they're just getting leg kick, or head kick, body kick, whatever, they're just going to get finished really quick or going to have a very terrible night, So, yeah, boxing's quite good for footwork. I suppose... I mean, you do see some people, quite a few people with good boxing in the UFC, but sometimes they do get trumped, like Alexander Gustafsson. His boxing's really slick and amazing. He's Golden Gloves at amateur, isn't he? I'm pretty sure, an amateur Golden Gloves champion. He was years ago. And he was doing well. His footwork was great. His footwork's always quite good against Anthony Smith, but then he got, taken down and Anthony Smith submitted him. But again, people like GSP, Stipe Miocic, DC, they have insane, and Jose Aldo have insanely good boxing. But Jose Aldo's more Muay Thai as well, isn't he, really? So, but they all have really good boxing and really good wrestling. Look how far they've got, No one really beat GSP. There wasn't really a massive jiu-jitsu threat to him. But to be honest, if GSP fought someone like Damian Maia, he could have defended the takedowns and just kept it in the stand-up. If GSP stayed on the ground with him, then obviously GSP would get submitted. But GSP would keep it standing, just box him, and just mug him off and get a decision. Maybe even a finish, who knows. I'm talking about Prime Maia, not Damian Maia now. Maia's still good, but I think Maia should retire after that Gilbert Burns fight. He was having some okay exchanges, but Burns just knocked him out, or TKO'd him, so there you go. But yeah, boxing's alright. Obviously, I mentioned Thai boxing with the no-gi. Yeah, Thai boxing's probably the best one, really. All the knees, elbows, the clinch, just focusing on two kicks, really, front kick and roundhouse kick, having some good boxing in there, some knees and elbows, all these different weapons, the art of 8 limbs. that I know you don't really see many pure Muay Thai people getting like ridiculously far in the UFC, but it's probably because they had like 300 Muay Thai fights and they don't really want to learn too much about jiu-jitsu or any of that stuff, you know, or wrestling, and they just want to go in with their Muay Thai. That's what I think, because if you look at some top people, Demetrius Johnson's Muay Thai was amazing, Anderson Silva's was, John Jones's was amazing, Jose Aldo's was amazing, you know, and they're all some of the best ever. So, you know, they're just amazing, aren't they? So it does work. You just need to have a well-rounded game. You know, at the end of the day, with all these things, you do need to have all your basics down. Even though I said earlier, a combination would be your two main things would be Thai boxing and no-gi, or I mean, you can do boxing and no-gi or wrestling and Thai boxing if you want, but like those are the main two combinations for the reasons I said earlier. To do, I think you could have like a third wheel, so like something you're a bit good at, but not as good as the other two main things you're good at. So like I don't know, MMA clinch, that'd probably be the best thing. War work, you know, being able to clinch people up against the cage. Obviously, I know like one championship has a they don't have an octagon, do they? It's like boxing ring, isn't it? Thai boxing ring. So you know. But yeah, the main reason I said to a combination of two things is because a lot of fighters only usually have two things that they're really, really, really good at. Obviously, there are some fighters who are just ridiculously well rounded and are decent at everything, but they have things that they excel in. So like I don't know, as I said, Stipe Miocic, DC, they're mainly boxing and wrestling, aren't they? You know, and you know, John Jones is mainly Thai boxing and well, he's sort of really well rounded, isn't he? Like his wrestling's probably deteriorated by now, but his grappling was quite good in the day. All the people he submitted, you know. So yeah, he's quite good, isn't he? You know, with almost everything, I guess. GSP was mainly boxing and wrestling. Aldo's mostly like I'd say Muay Thai and boxing, and as a third little thing, probably takedown defense. That is a really good combination, to be honest, because not many people have beaten Aldo. I know Chad Mendes nearly took him down. I mean, not many people have taken down Aldo. Not many people have beaten him. I know a few people have, but like, it isn't a tremendous amount. Yeah, but I know we'd taken him down. I know he held on to the fence, and Mendes was really struggling to get him down, and that was a bit of a weird, you know, that was a bit of a cheating move, wasn't it? But still, you know, a lot of the time his takedown defense has been great. Obviously, I know Marlon Moraes took him down, but still, he really didn't expect that. And Marlon Moraes, you know, he's mostly stand-up. I know he's got good jiu-jitsu by submitting Rafael Assunção in their second fight, but still, you know, Aldo didn't really expect that one. I suppose it goes back to when I was saying if you expect a takedowns come in, I suppose you can defend it. But to defend takedowns against someone like Chad Mendes, who's got, you know, pretty good boxing and probably the best wrestling in the featherweight division, you know, that is quite good going, really. So yeah, a lot of people do say, like some people say, oh, why don't people just train MMA sessions all the time? You know, blah blah blah. But it's like, I suppose you can have like MMA grappling sessions, drills, and a lot of war work sessions and whatever. And you know, just doing loads and loads of MMA drills, MMA pad work, some light MMA sparring with the gloves on, you know. And obviously, if you're going to do hard sparring, you know, get the big gloves and the head guards and the you'd have shin guards anyway, even for, you know, like sparring, I guess. But you know, just get all the gear together and do what you're going to do in it. So, but yeah, the reason why you should still have a skill is because if you try and be good at everything, a specialist will probably beat you in some area. So, you know, I know having loads and loads of skills is alright, but like, you know, you need to have something that you excel in so it can be your main strength most of the time. I know people like GSP have everything to a decent level. Even though it's mostly boxing and wrestling, he's, you know, got everything quite good and quite decent. But I was going to say earlier, in the UFC, you do need to have all your fundamentals down. You know, you need to be half decent at wrestling. You need to be half decent at defending judo throws. You need to be half decent at boxing, Thai boxing, you know. And I feel like a lot of people just don't put themselves in uncomfortable positions enough. Like in GSP, he went to the best boxing gyms. He did his no-gi at Henzo's, and I'm sure he did some Brazilian jiu-jitsu with a gi on there as well at Henzo's. Obviously, he did all his Muay Thai with a Frossa Hobby, and I know he used to do his training camp at Henzo's, but then he did his training camp at TriStar. But GSP's always putting himself in uncomfortable positions against better people, and that's why he was able to beat loads and loads of other people. I'm not saying other fighters aren't keen to improve or aren't putting themselves in uncomfortable positions, but GSP's always going against specialists who are better than him in these martial arts. So that's why he's excelled and done so good. But yeah, best combination of martial arts, probably the first two combinations that I said. If I had to add a third one on each one, probably Thai boxing and no-gi, and probably MMA will work. But the thing is, if you're already decent in the clinch with the Thai boxing, then you can elbow him quite a bit. You can elbow and knee him if they try and clinch you. But I suppose some people just have insanely good clinches, like when Tyron Woodley was against Darren Till. Darren Till probably has an ace Thai boxing clinch, but Tyron Woodley just got him up against the wall, put both of his arms behind his back and just pressed him up against the wall. And Till wasn't able to do anything against him, really. Wasn't able to land many elbows or anything, or any knees. Woodley was just right up in there. So, it's... But yeah, I'd say as the third one, probably MMA clinch, so you can counter, so you're really good with your wall work. And with wrestling, I'd say the same. Probably the wrestling, and the probably second best is wrestling, boxing, and MMA clinch as well. And probably the third one is probably boxing, kickboxing, and takedown defense, I guess. Takedown defense is a minor thing. So obviously the first two I listed the main things that you work on, then the other one is like a minor thing, But yeah, I mean, most of the UFC people are great wrestlers and boxers, but you've got some good kickboxers and some good no-gi people on the up and up, It just depends how hard you work and if you're putting yourself in these uncomfortable positions to get better, really. And then, I know I didn't talk about, like, where you could add judo and where you could add, like, karate and taekwondo into all these things and kickboxing and whatever, but just, you can mix them up however you want, really. It just depends. But you do need the essential skills. You can't have, like, karate, judo and aikido or whatever. You can't really have them, But yeah, just you, do your best, work hard, be keen to improve, don't have too much of a big ego, and do your best. I understand there are some big egos out there. There are some people who pretend to be humble but just have a massive ego, and there's some people who pretend to have a big ego for the entertainment and for the camera, and then they're actually quite humble in real life. So yeah, just try to be grounded and try to be keen to improve, and listen to your trainers, and that's that, really. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you thanks for watching and listening to the podcast. I'll see you in the next one.